Hey everybody, we are kind of kicking off a newer thing here. This might be, I don't know if this is the first episode or, a couple down the road. But what we're wanting to do here at Poplar Ridge is have this podcast, this conversation called Let's Talk. And so it's going to allow us to have opportunities to introduce you to staff members or elders or volunteers, which we think will be really cool. But also, Brad and I, or John and I, or Brad and John, or whoever on the ministry staff, Casey, might sit down and say, hey, here's what we're talking about here at the church, series-wise, or here's some ideas or some things that we're thinking through. This can be a lot of things, and we're going to figure it out as we go. But I'm excited. John just came on staff with us as our seniors minister, not the senior, as you referenced a couple, on a Sunday, not the senior minister, but the seniors minister, which if you've been around our church for a while, you understand that because we had a seniors minister before, and now John's stepping into this role. Really started February 1st, I think is the start date there. And your first weekend, you got to go to a conference. That's a pretty good
first day.
Yeah, that's a
first day of work.
That's a good day. First day of work.
Let's go to Savannah.
Yeah. Had a great time there. So, what I want to do is just kind of introduce you, John, to our church, and a lot of people have already known you. You've been at church here for a while, but now you're on staff, so there's people that don't know you. But yeah, I think it'll be really good. So. Anyways, got a series of questions. I'm just gonna hit you with questions, and we're gonna have the conversation. Okay. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up. I know you're not from around here, so tell me a little bit about that.
I'm not from around here. You could tell right away from my non-accent, I guess.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Washington State, in a little town called Puyallup. When I was growing up there, it was about 15,000. Now it's about 100,000.
Oh wow.
And much more expensive to live there.
I bet.
Both my parents were Christian. I started going to church 2 weeks after life.
Yeah, right.
And for that matter, for the rest of my life. So 66 years of going to church, and I really had no plans of stopping.
Right.
My father was an overhead craneman at a steel and copper refinery for over 30 years. My mom was an at-home mom after I was born. She had been an x-ray technician, and my sister was 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So you've been married for a while. We all love Ruth. Have gotten to meet her. I know we got to get dinner with you all before our second kid came.
Yes.
Then it got a little more complicated.
Yes.
But a couple times get to know you all. And so tell us a little bit about Ruth and where you met and how you got married and all that.
Okay. Well, I believe it was in Spanish class in junior high. That's where we met. And I'll give you Ruth's version of the story because it's probably a lot more interesting. You see, I was dating her best friend, Pat. And then after Pat dumped me, as Ruth would say, she saw the chance and nabbed me and won me over. And then finally, God hit me over the head one day and said, hey, silly boy, this is the one. Wake up. She's the one. Don't be stupid. And we dated about 5 years, and we were engaged for 3 of those years. By the way, I never have ever in my ministry recommended that length of time.
Yep.
Before marriage, but
Yep.
But it had to work that way for us. We were both going to college in different states.
Yep.
We weren't together, so it was tough. But we did keep Ma Bell hopping with the phone company.
I bet.
See, God always knew exactly what He was doing.
Oh yeah.
And because He knows how really slow I am, so He makes makes sure that I have lots of time.
That's funny. Yeah. So you told us a little bit about where you grew up. You told us about kind of your married life a little bit, but let's go back to when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and you and I have had the privilege of sitting down for coffee, and I got to hear some of your stories. So tell me a little bit about childhood and your interest as a kid and what that looked like.
I loved music from the very beginning. I started piano lessons with my 3rd grade VBS teacher.
Oh, wow.
I was so enthralled with how she played. And she was an older lady who used to play. Actually, she used to play piano in theaters for silent movies. These were before talkies.
Yeah.
As they called them, and she played all the music by just ad lib.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on the screen, she would try to match it, and she did all that in Sitka, Alaska. I loved piano and later singing, though I've not done either for a long time. I gave up my piano before we moved to Tennessee. It was my inheritance from my mom.
Yeah.
It was a baby grand piano that she was given by her parents as a little girl, and I grew up with that piano, and it was. It was kind of sad to let it go, but there was no way we could bring it.
Yeah. So continue that conversation a little bit about just growing up. That was your interest, but what did it look like? Again, you and I have talked a little bit about this, like just the challenges of growing up, being John, and being in school as a kid. And tell me a little bit about that.
School in general was really hard for me. Primary grades were especially difficult for me. I wasn't a wild child at all,
right,
by any stretch. I worked hard at trying to get things going but just things weren't easy for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't until college that they discovered that I had dyslexia, and which really kind of explained a lot about my reading skills,
right,
why they were so poor, and as well as motor skills, even catching a ball, reading maps, especially some just general directional thinking. Was tough, and so I've since learned on my own in that time ways to work around my dyslexia issues using the use of color, the size of fonts. I used to read. I oftentimes read from a screen. It's easier for me, and I've created some tools to identify right and left when you're dyslexic. That's important, you know. When people tell me turn right, it's much better if they're pointing.
Right.
And hopefully pointing the right direction. And I've used some other tools. And at first, growing up and even into the early years of college, I was incredibly angry with God for making me so dumb, so stupid, so ignorant. And that's how I saw it. When you have those disabilities, that's how you feel. But then later on, I realized that he needed me to be a certain way to be able to minister to various people with their defects, and to gain a compassion that I'm sure I would have never gained had he not put that thorn in the flesh for me.
So I'm sure it was nice finding out eventually, hey, I have dyslexia and I have these, like, there's something that comes to, oh, that's why, you think you got,
it's so much better,
And, based on what I know of your story, once you kind of find that out, as you mentioned, the tools really did help you, especially as you went into school and graduate school and all that. So tell me a little bit about, graduating from high school, going into college, and that journey of, undergrad, grad, all that stuff.
That route there. Well, I barely made it through public school. It was tough. And then I had enrolled at a Christian college in Eugene, Oregon. My first quarter there was extremely difficult. It was the first time really living away from home. It was about 6 hours away from home. I didn't have a car. My way home was the train. And it
so
was
not a lot of weekend visits.
No, there wasn't weekend visits very often. At the conclusion of the first quarter, the academic dean called me in and he said, "John, let me simply lay it out there for you. Your GPA is a 190, a solid D+. And if you can't raise that by the next term, you won't be able to continue here." And you see, Matt, from 7th grade, I had God impressed on me that I was going to be a pastor in ministry.
Right.
It never occurred to me before that might not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know other routes for that to happen for me. I mean, I was so set on this is the only way to do it. You see, God does have a huge sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So by choosing someone with dyslexia, who has a stuttering problem talking in front of more than two people at once, who is totally socially inept and shy, yes, God can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, second quarter, God brought to me a brother from another mother. His name is Tim Knight, and we have remained friends, best friends, from those early days of college, and for nearly 50 years now. And he's an awesome brother. He was a 4-point student. God had to get the best, and he had amazing patience to work with me.
Yeah.
To learn how to study, to write papers, because we had to write lots and lots of papers at that school, and how to take tests, how to generally survive school. We both graduated 4 years later, and yes, my GPA did get better. Both of us got married to our wives 1 month, in the same month.
Wow.
After in graduation, a week apart. Then we all four of us caravan to East Tennessee from Washington State. Well, actually, my wife and I from Washington State, and he from Oregon, he and his wife. And for another 4-year stay in school, and we both went to Emmanuel School of Religion, which is now part of Milligan University. And then later in my second full-time pastoral ministry, which was located out in the wilderness of Eastern Oregon, I decided to bite the bullet and enroll in a doctoral program in Seattle. I was pretty nervous. In fact, I was scared spitless to do this. Yeah. But I was able to literally cram a 3-year program into 7. And it came out with, and I came out with a 4-point. By learning how to do a lot of skills with some of the things that I had developed. God does work in mysterious ways. Yep. Doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And he, what is the quote that he qualifies the unqualified, and vice versa, and so
that's right. Yeah.
Just cool to hear that story. And so you graduated, you did your doctorate, you've been in ministry, you've done all those things, and so now you're on staff at Poplar Ridge, which I don't know if you ever expected that to ever happen, especially after retiring from your last church. But there is no retirement in Scripture, I guess, but that you're a living proof of that.
That's right.
What churches have you pastored in? I know you've been in a few, and different parts of the country, really, or kind of one part, and then now here. Yeah. But tell us a little bit about your experience in churches.
While I was here at Emmanuel in those 4 years, I pastored 2 small churches at the same time.
Okay.
There was a little church in Chucky and one in Limestone.
Yeah.
And I started out at Chucky. They were 2 different Presbyterian churches. I'm not Presbyterian, but
they needed somebody to preach.
But they needed somebody to preach, and at Chucky, I was the 5th Emmanuel student in a row, so they were pretty used to us.
Right.
And it was a wonderful experience. We after graduation and the birth of our daughter, we moved back out west, mostly so that our daughter could be raised around her grandparents and her family. And I pastored with a small congregation of about 40 people.
Okay.
That was my first full-time church there. That church grew to 13 little old widows in 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 to 13. The church was in Eastern Washington, in the desert area, and that whole area geographically, demographically was changing radically. It was changing with the Hispanic drug gangs coming in, and so our community was having a major case of white flight, and the only ones who couldn't really move on were the widows who owned their own homes
Yeah.
and really didn't have the resources or the ability to move, and so they stuck it out. And
Yeah.
but the families who were part of the church, they all moved away. They left. So God opened up a ranching church to me in the middle of Eastern Oregon, which is in the high desert. That high desert was the elevation of 4,300 feet. It's just flat with. It's full of sagebrush, jackrabbits, rattlesnakes, and cattle. And the joke was always that the cattle had to graze at 3.5 miles an hour just to maintain weight. They ate a lot of sagebrush out there.
Yeah.
I served that church for 11 years. Afterwards, God moved us to Western Washington at the base of Mount St. Helens, which was just 90 miles south of where I was born and raised, and both of our parents lived. In that following year, both my father and Ruth's dad died 6 weeks apart.
Wow.
My dad died of cancer unexpectedly. It was just about 7 months of knowing about it. Her dad had heart disease, and he ended up dying. It was pretty rough then. My mom had already started and had developed Alzheimer's. And so we moved her in with us for about a year. And Ruth's mom had died a number of years before.
Yeah.
So all of our parents died. We're gone in lots of ways.
Right.
Castle Rock, Washington was a wonderful ministry for me. It was full of difficulties and stresses, as well as extreme highlights and opportunities beyond my wildest dreams. You see, God had answered my prayers for that church.
Yeah.
Before I got there, I prayed for Him to place me in a position that I could be there for the rest of my career, and that's what it was. It was 24 years there at Castle Rock, and I got to finish out my career till coming here, and not knowing I was going to add more to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You said something. Anytime you're in ministry, you're going to have those highs and lows, especially over 24 years.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
Goodness. Well, I guess you retired. When did you retire? What year was that? 20?
So it was in 24 or 25.
Okay. And then you moved
24,
here.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Moved here and been attending Poplar Ridge for almost 2 years, right?
Right. Almost 2 years.
Years.
Mm-hmm.
So now you found yourself in a position where you're on staff, which
the
seniors minister.
Yes.
And I remember talking to you about this, and it was like when he first came, Dick Morris was in this role,
right,
and he sadly passed away last year, and that was hard for our church. But I remember you telling me that whenever you first came, you were like, "Oh, that sounds like a great position. That'd be cool." And we're sad about the way that it came open. Obviously, we miss Dick, but we're also grateful that God has provided somebody to step into that role. And so whenever, it took a couple months for our staff and leadership to be like, "Man, are we going to hire this position again?" But then it was like, if we do, we know who we need to go after. So, so we were like, we need to go get John.
Mark Band.
So now that you're in this phase of life, in this role, whatever, what are your goals for this new ministry and your chapter of life right now?
Well, I've only served as a senior minister in all of my career.
Yep.
Even if it was 13 and a half little widows.
Yep.
It's always been in that position. So I've never had this opportunity to specialize in one area.
Yeah.
And I am really looking forward to getting to know all the seniors at Poplar Ridge Christian Church. I asked Brad about it, and he really encouraged me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they love having somebody to do stuff with. That's what I've learned over the years that I've been here, and we're grateful for that. Yeah. So, okay, so a lot of people have this question. They're like, okay, how old do I have to be to be a part of John's ministry. I don't think we'd ever kick anybody out because they're young.
No, that's right.
But there are those questions,
That's
you
right.
know. So some might say that 80 is old.
Is a
Some
senior.
some
Yes,
might say
yes.
that 60 is a senior. So let's define it a little bit. Let's clarify what is a quote unquote senior at Poplar Ridge.
Such a elusive question. Well, I asked Brad that question, and he had when he approached me about taking the position, and since what I was thinking in my head was, well, the IRS thinks 66 and 10 months is the age that you're a senior.
Yeah.
That's what they told me in the write-up. AARP starts signing people up at 50 after they've already harassed you for 5 years, getting you ready. And he decided that since someone can order off the seniors menu at McDonald's at 55, that's what we should make the senior age.
Well,
why not?
Yeah, might as well.
That sounds good to me.
We'll just blame it on McDonald's,
That's
I guess.
right. Blame it on McDonald's. You know, if they ever raise it, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to change it if that's,
That's
the
right.
case. Right? Maybe people start living longer and it'll change everything.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's right.
So that's funny. So if you're 55 and up, you know, John is your guy. You know, obviously anybody on staff. We're all here to serve, no matter what age.
Absolutely.
But John specializes now, right, in that
now.
area. 55 and up could go up to 115.
That's
you know, who
right,
knows?
Yes.
So
I think Sunday I invited people to come to the Elevate thing.
Yeah.
If anywhere between 55 and 125.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So I think we're pretty safe.
I think we're covered there. That's a good one. So, okay, you and I have talked a lot about what do you want to do, you know, when it comes to being the seniors minister. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do in that age group, which is really cool to see. I've spent my last year, 5.5 years plus, in youth ministry, and so we have fun all the time. You know, we do stuff, maybe get in trouble here and there, you know, but we have a lot of fun.
We probably will too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
And so what I've learned over the last couple of years is y'all have just as much fun as we do.
Oh yeah.
So tell me, what are the ideas? What are the goals? And I know you're talking to some other people in the church, like, hey, what are their ideas? But what are the things that you're kind of coming in with? Like, here's what I would like to do if possible.
Yeah. My goal is number one is to learn names, which is really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
So honestly, if I don't remember your name, don't feel offended.
There's 500 people at church on a Sunday, so that's hard.
Because I have to hear a name several times over and over and over before it really starts to click.
Yep.
And see the person's face in front of me. So that's part of it's a lot bigger goal for me. But it's also to learn stories of people.
Yeah.
I love to know the stories that people have and what their testimony is and how people think around here. We've lived in a number of places around the country, and every area has a different way of thinking about lots of things.
Yeah.
And I did live here in the 80s, and I learned then that East Tennesseans think differently than those who live on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to know how people think here. It's certainly not to criticize, but to see how to work with those ideas and how to make it happen.
Yep.
And what people like to do and see various places and certainly of course eating.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a big one.
I love to eat. I want to discover strengths and weaknesses of our seniors, to see what makes people tick.
Yeah.
And find out the places that they would like to go as a group.
Yep.
I want to go to places like the Ark Adventure up in Kentucky. I think that would be a hoot to take that trip. And one of the places that I have wanted to go for a long time has been the Bible Museum in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
And so I think taking a group of seniors up there would be wonderful.
Yep.
I personally love places like the beach and mountains and lakes and anywhere there's food. And, pretty much everywhere has food. So.
Yep.
I hope that we can take some longer trips down the road here. Possibly a cruise.
Yeah, if you go on the cruise and you need a chaperone, I'd love to
volunteering
go.
for that.
Yep.
I'm sure there's going to be lots of volunteers for that. I want to see how we can serve our community.
Yeah.
It's not just about taking trips and eating, although
Right.
there's a lot of that. But,
Right.
But I want to see how we can serve our community. I absolutely love the tagline of our church here.
Yep.
A place to call home. I think that's it resonates with me so much.
Yep.
Family is a very important thing to me, and I think as we age, it becomes even more important. I believe our seniors, in me included, need that connection with people.
Yeah.
Whether it is the family that you were born with or the family that you develop and cherish.
Yep.
And I believe as seniors, when we stop dreaming and learning and developing and communing with others, we die.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to go there yet.
Right.
And as one TV advertisement says, I've got more living to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think our seniors here at Poplar Ridge have a lot more living to do.
Yep.
To be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And the Bible doesn't speak of retirement. I mean, look at Moses, how old he was whenever he did his big thing. And I know that you believe that. And we want our church, just like everybody, to be training somebody below them, being a mentor to somebody. So, well, John, I appreciate the time, and hopefully this has allowed people to kind of get to know you a little bit more, and hopefully they'll get to know you in person, but hopefully through video or podcast, this is an opportunity for them to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
Yeah. So we'll continue to have more conversations like this with our staff and introduce them, but also updates about our church. But we appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thanks.